poppin'? Today's video is about IntelliJ. First, we're gonna start with the selection of the best plugins so you can push the IntelliJ experience further. Then we're gonna talk about some useful shortcuts so you can ease your dev workflow. And last but not least, I'll be covering a bunch of neat features, particular tips and tricks on IntelliJ. So without further ado, let's go and discover our first plugin on the marketplace of IntelliJ. As a software and especially a Java developer, I believe that there are two mandatory plugins. The first one is Lombok. Briefly, Lombok is a Java library which is used to reduce your application boilerplate code. And boilerplate means the code that is repeated and which violate the dry principle. You don't need to install Lombok if you are using a recent IntelliJ version. It's already bundled. Let's take, for example, this simple Java class which called client with some basic fields and methods. Here we have in a simple constructor, getters, setters, equals, hashcode, and the toString method. To use Lombok, we start by adding the Maven dependency. And always use provided as scope because you don't need Lombok in your runtime class path. Now let's take a look at this better client class which uses Lombok. By adding those 5 Lombok annotations on the top of our class, this will spare us having all the boilerplate code as shown on the left screen. We can even go one step further and use just add data, which is the equivalent of the 5 annotations that we've seen before. The second mandatory plugin, I believe it's SonarLint. With this one, you will be forced to stick to the clean code major principles. So Sonar will be highlighting on live syntax error, bugs, and bad code habits. Let's take for example this method, which concatenate the first and the last name. As you can see, SonarLint is already highlighting this line. Let's click on the yellow bulb to see what's wrong with our code. Let's go back to the highlighted line and press Option Enter. You can see that Sonar is proposing to inline our variable, so let's do it. As you can see, this is really helpful. SonarLint will have your back to simplify and clean your code. Our third plugin today is KPromoter X. I'm using it for learning purposes and it helps a lot to master keyboard shortcuts. To give you an example of how this works, I'm going to copy this line using the mouse right click. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, we're having a notification showing us that we can use a Command C shortcut instead. Another interesting plugin is Rainbow Brackets. It colors the brackets within your code to improve IntelliJ visual clearance, especially when having many nested lines of code. When having many people working on the same project using Git Toolbox plugin is a must. It will help you navigate through your code and check for every line, the commit message, when that was done, and its author. If you are using Maven, I strongly recommend installing Maven Helper plugin. This one will help you analyzing your dependencies and excluding those on conflict. For instance, here as you can see, we're having 3 conflicts within our Maven dependencies. The last plugin I want to show you is commit case, and which could be useful sometimes. Using Alt-Shift-U command, you can switch easily between Kebab, Snake, Pascal, Camel, or other cases. Actually, depending on your needs, you might be looking for other plugins. For example, if you are working with Kubernetes, it's recommended to use the Kubernetes plugin. But just keep in mind that you don't need to install all the marketplace. This is absolutely not the right way to do it.
No, God!
It's the same thing as if you're going on the internet trying to install every software stumble on it. Things gonna be sluggish and you don't need this. Alright, perfect. Let's now jump to the second part of this video, which is about helping you being more productive using keyboard shortcuts. Let's move back to our IntelliJ to explore more about this. The first shortcut that I'm using here is double shift. This will open a pop-up to search everywhere. And by everywhere, it means literally everywhere. It's like the Google search bar for IntelliJ. For the example, here we are searching for the Rainbow plugin, and we can toggle it on or off directly from the pop-up. We can search for a specific section in preferences. Here we are looking for the plugin section. We can search for a specific file, of course, but we can even search for a word within a commit message. And you don't need no more your calculator. You can do some math directly from this search bar. The second one is Ctrl-Shift-F, and it will help you finding files. So here we're gonna search for Lombok in every file within our project. We can even filter the results using file mask. Here we will be interested in XML files only. By pressing the Ctrl key twice, we can run anything we want. Terminal commands like LSA, we can run Maven commands, and even we can execute some Git commands. Another helpful shortcut is Command-Shift-E for recent locations. So here we are in the client class. Let's go down to the toString method and then let's open the better client class. We'll also open the much better client class. And now if you press Command Shift E, we can see the recent locations and we can go straight forward to the toString method in the client class. Okay, perfect. Now I want to show you my favorite shortcuts when it comes to coding. To optimize your imports, always use Ctrl-Alt-O, and to reformat your code, Ctrl-Alt-L. You should probably know that there is a good practice which says that you need to have a constant instead of the same string in different places. Select your string and press Ctrl-Alt-C to achieve that. And don't forget to check replace all occurrences. On the other side, you need to use Ctrl-Alt-V if you want to introduce a new local variable. So let's do that for the tutorial string, and we're going to replace all the occurrences. In order to refactor, sometimes you may need to extract some of your code in a new method. Just for the example, here we're going to extract the about string in a new method. And to do so, we need to press Ctrl-Alt-M. And we're going to choose replace, so we'll let IntelliJ replace all the occurrences. Sometimes I need to switch between upper and lowercase, and Command-Shift-U is a time saving for this. And this leads to the last useful shortcut for this part of this video, and which is Ctrl-Shift-Enter. By pressing those three keys, we're going to invoke a sort of intelligent completion. So here for the example, IntelliJ will recognize that we're trying to use the birthday variable as a parameter for the calculate age method. Alright, last part of this video in which I cover some great features about IntelliJ. So let's dive into it again, back to our IntelliJ. The first feature I'm showing here lets you compare both folders and files. I'm selecting two different files and pressing Command D, which will open both files side by side showing all the differences. Another interesting feature is scratch files. To create one, we need to press Shift Command N. I'm going to select XML as the type of my scratch file. And this is very helpful, especially to take notes or creating some temporary file without polluting your project, of course. The next feature, which is local history, is a lifesaver. Let's right click on this class and select local history. This will open up a window to track all the changes, so you can roll back a deleted line of code or even restore a deleted file. If you are a Git command line user, I think it could be worth it to give this IntelliJ interface a try. As you can see, it offers a clear Git tree visualization. Let's go to the local changes tab, which will display the list of our edited files. This gives us the possibility to select the different files we want to commit. We can add our commit message, as you can see, and then I will check some of those options on the right so I can optimize and clean my code, which I recommend strongly before committing your files. Then we're gonna press Command Option K or select Commit and Push. One of the IntelliJ powerful features that I've discovered recently is language injection. So here, for instance, we are going to inject a JSON into this string Java object. So let's go between the quotes and press Alt-Enter. Then we select Inject Language or Reference, and then we're gonna search for JSON and select JSON. Now we're gonna go back between our quotes and press Alt-Enter again. Then let's choose Edit JSON Fragment. And this will open a tab on the bottom of the window in which we can write and edit the injected language, which is the JSON here. So as you can see here, IntelliJ offers an assistance to make this injection as simple as possible. Let's now take a look at regex injection. So here for the example, we're gonna use this regular expression, which is supposed to validate the age if it's 18 or older. Same as before, we're gonna click on our regular expression and press Alt-Enter. Then we'll select Inject Language or Reference and choose regular expression. So now IntelliJ will recognize the string as a regular expression. Press again Alt-Enter and choose Check Regex. So we can test and validate our regular expression without running our program. IntelliJ here is also offering a powerful tool so you can access, manage, and query your database. For the example, I'm going to configure a database connection, so I'm filling the user, the password, and the host of my database. Connection succeeded. Perfect. So let's close this for now and check what we got on the database tab. As you can see, we can load, access, and view our all database tables. And just by double-clicking a table, we can access all its data. For this table, we have only one entry, so let's get you an example to add a new one. For this, all we need is to press Command N, so we can have access to add some information for every column of this table. Once we're finished, we press Command Enter so we can submit and persist our data. I will go back to the language injection feature, but this time it will be about SQL. And again, same as before, we're gonna press Alt-Enter, choose Inject Language or Reference, and search for SQL. IntelliJ is now detecting the string as a SQL code. Alt-Enter again, run query in console, and we're gonna choose company. And this is how you run a SQL query directly from your Java code.